And this is shared by Vampire Anarchy over on the Reddit subsection. Now, Vampire Anarchy, of course, is the form of anarchy where the only common accepted currency in communities is blood. Freaks me out a little bit. I get squeamish around blood, so I can never subscribe to Vampire Anarchy. But Vampire Anarchy leaves a lot of interesting articles on the Reddit subsection, which again, reddit.com/r/getyournewsonwithron. And here's something they had to say. Can plastic pavement curb the world's epidemic of plastic waste? Plastic Pavement would make an awesome band name. Now, there is a very popular alt indie band from the late 80s and 90s called Pavement. At least I think Pavement started in, it's not important. But anyway, Pavement, great band. I've been a Pavement fan for a long time. And that brings me to the song of the day, Cut Your Hair by Pavement. Cut your hair. No gimmicks there. Just cut your hair. Look it up. Pavement is the band there. If you've never listened to Pavement before, that's a great start. It's a super fun tune. One of my favorites. It's just one of those perfect indie pop songs, you know, just fuzz guitars, great melodies, fun hooks, absurd, quirky lyrics, just fun indie rock and roll music, remnant of the college indie of the late 80s and early 90s. And throughout. I mean, that was still being spun on college radio when I was there in the 2000s. So college rock at its finest, in my opinion. Pavement, Cut Your Hair, check it out. But Plastic Pavement, I don't know. I mean, I guess in some ways that'd be a little derivative if you called a band Plastic Pavement. But I feel like, I don't know. Could you get away with that? Could you not? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a musician. I feel like maybe you could, especially if Plastic Pavement were to become a thing. Because then not only is there a slight nod to the band Pavement, if you're a fan of that, but there's also a slight nod to an environmental solution here. Can plastic pavement curb the world's epidemic of plastic waste? 90% of the plastic we use ends up in landfills or in the world's oceans. Now, a Scottish firm has invented a way to recycle that hard-to-use plastic for a role that requires durability: paving roads and highways. The driveway at Christopher Boyle's 17th century English estate looks like regular asphalt and feels like regular asphalt, but it's not. It's paved with 21st century plastic trash. Plastic Trash could also be a cool band name. What if you called your band Plastic Trash and they were like, oh, are you? And it's like, well, we can use plastic trash to pave roads. And I think that's pretty cool. And then maybe you have at your shows, you can have pamphlets explaining how we can make plastic asphalt. I like it. It has all the ecological environmental benefits, but to your ordinary punter, you don't see any difference at all. It used the equivalents of 750,000 plastic bags and bottles ground up along with other hard-to-recycle plastic. The plastic flakes are mixed in at the plant in Scotland with MacRubber co-founder Toby McCarthy calls a secret ingredient. It's then bagged up and shipped to asphalt manufacturers. That blend replaces some of the black oil-based bitumen that keeps regular roads together. So instead of using these oil-based substances that are less environmentally sound, we can recycle plastics and use this. So I'm assuming, the one thing I'm assuming is they have something in here that prevents melting. That would be my first concern, that like under, you know, like, especially like I'm thinking Southern California, like our roads, when it gets really hot, places like Texas, stuff like that, I would be worried like plastics would melt. So I'd imagine that they have a way to prevent that from happening. Or maybe that's the thing they're really trying to figure out. Maybe in some environments, it's not quite durable enough yet. But this is pretty cool. Let's see if there's anything else here in this article that kind of sheds light on some of that. So the CBS News correspondent said, so is this a long-term solution to the world's plastic problem? Now McCartney, not Paul, a different one, is saying, I believe so. It's the stuff nobody else can use. It's destined for landfill, and we can take this plastic and we can recycle it in our roads. Now environmentalists like Libby Peak are cautiously optimistic. They're potentially lower carbon than conventional roads, so that's very positive. What we don't know yet is how much microplastic these roads might shed. Now, McCartney said there are no microplastic presents in any of the roads that go down. Now, Sabiri asked, but shouldn't people just stop using plastic? I don't know whether that's ever really going to happen. He said for now, plastic pavement can curb the world's plastic epidemic. So he thinks more people haven't paved road with plastic because they aren't aware of the new option. So that's interesting. And that's, I mean, you know, and even if we do curb our plastic use, which we should do, I do think that's still good. We still have so much of it out there in circulation, so much of it that's destined for a landfill. Imagine if we could take some of that and recycle it and put it back in our roads as a substitute for something that's oil-based. That'd be huge. But I think there are some microplastic concerns. I get that. I would say maybe the best way to unroll it is try it in moderate climates first. I know they mentioned Scotland. Try it there first, see what happens, and then experiment with different technologies. See like at what level it melts, at what it doesn't, what kind of durability it has, run controlled experiments. And then maybe you can really unroll that, pun intended, all over the world. Very interesting. So still some concerns, but it would be amazing if we could kind of reuse all that plastic that's already out there. All right. So thank you for sharing that, Vampire Anarchy.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your news on with Ron.